Exposed. The heartwarming truth behind a dying billionaire's will, and his hidden lost daughter. Jake Thompson wiped the sweat from his brow, the sun harsh above Maplewood's array of sun-bleached homes. His father's auto repair shop stood as a stubborn but fading monument to hard work, the smell of motor oil and home-cooked meals wafting from the diner next door. For weeks, the rhythm of wrench and chatter hadn't changed much until today, when an ordinary letter arrived and shattered his mundane reality. The inked words spun a tale of loss, connection, and a hefty inheritance, revealing that a dying billionaire named Lawrence Caldwell had named Jake as the sole heir to a substantial fortune. His heart raced as he absorbed the news. Could it be true? Questions cascaded like a downpour. Why him? What did he have in common with a man he'd never met? And then there was a daughter, Emily, who had turned away from privilege for an authentic life as an art teacher. The stark contrast of their worlds sent a shiver down Jake's spine, reaching deeper than any cold winter night. Just as he pondered these twists of fate, the door to the shop swung open. A familiar face grinned, then fell as she saw the letter in his hand. "What's that about?" his loyal friend Molly asked, concern written on her face. Jake hesitated, the weight of his father's legacy battered against the glittering allure of wealth. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Days turned into weeks, and Jake kept the letter tucked under a greasy rag as if it were a relic from another life. But whispers buzzed through town, unsettling the once comfortable air of Maplewood. Small faces he'd seen nestled around Sunday barbecues now glared with judgment. The grill smoke couldn't mask the simmering tension. Emily Caldwell's return brought with it prying eyes, her artistry suddenly a mockery of the life Jake clung to, built by sweat and sacrifice. Storm clouds gathered on the horizon as echoes of disdain crept through dinner conversations. "Here comes the billionaire's daughter, parading on our streets." Jake could almost feel the disdain as his neighbor's eyes darted toward Emily. Torn between his blue-collar roots and a gilded future, Jake faced the ultimate confrontation at the town hall. The room buzzed with spirited debates, the ordinary folks weighing in on the ethics of wealth. "The inheritance doesn't sit right with me," voiced Frank, a neighbor, his face twisted in anger. "What about hard work?" Caught in the chaos of opinions, Jake made his choice. Could he reconcile the man he'd grown up to be with the legacy offered before him? The air thickened with anticipation as he glanced at Emily, her eyes a landscape of doubt and pain. They were both vagrants in this tangled web of wealth and authenticity, connected in ways the town couldn't understand. As Jake stood there, the clock ticking in unison with his heartbeat, he faced a stark reality. Failure would fracture the people he loved, while success felt like betrayal. So much hung in the balance. Could he hold on to who he was? Or was this the start of a new journey? The question echoed through the room, leaving his heart gripping a tight line of uncertainty. Would they weave a future together? Or were they fated to drift apart, locked in the divisions their origins imposed? The morning light filtered through the dusty windows of Jake's shop, casting a warm glow on the familiar chaos of tools and parts. But Jake's thoughts drifted far from the tasks awaiting him. He glanced at the upside-down letter on the counter, the sharp edges worn from the weeks it had lingered, waiting to change everything. Molly, sensing the storm inside him, leaned against the doorframe. "You know you can talk about it, right?" she pressed gently, her voice laced with concern. Jake sighed, forcing a crooked smile. "It's complicated." "Complicated isn't a bad thing, Jake. Sometimes it's the reason we grow." Her words floated in the air, stirring something deep within him. He thought about Emily. There was a quiet strength in her, a determination that contrasted sharply with the whispers that followed her. Maybe he could learn from her choices. With a sudden surge of courage, Jake decided to seek Emily out. She was vulnerable, no doubt suffocated by the same glares he faced, painted as the heir to a dynasty while wanting nothing more than to be seen as a person. He wiped his hands, suddenly eager to step into her world even if it was overwhelming. As he made his way through town, Each step felt heavy. Maplewood was small but full of eyes. Faces watched, judgment echoing through the silence. When he reached the art studio at the edge of town, he hesitated at the door. He could hear Emily's laugh, light and hopeful. It filled him with both warmth and fear. He pushed the door open, the bell chiming overhead, and there she stood. The sunshine seemed to dance around her, making the faded paint on the walls come alive. She turned at the sound, and her expression shifted, surprise melting into a guarded smile. "Jake," she said, her voice a soothing balm to his nerves. But the moment was fragile, strained under the weight of their shared histories. "Hey Emily," he said, his voice unsure. "I wanted to talk. About your inheritance?" She prompted, her words layered with a mix of curiosity and wariness. "More like about us," he said, taking a tentative step closer. "Is this all there is? You painting me fixing cars?" Her eyes searched his. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean we're both caught in this mess of privilege and judgment. Everyone thinks I'm a sellout just like they think you're some rich girl looking for attention." His chest tightened. "But I see you. I see the teacher, the artist, the person." Her face softened, the walls she had built starting to crack. "It's easy to judge, isn't it?" she whispered. "And harder to break free from those chains." Jake felt a glimmer of hope, a connection blossoming like spring flowers amidst winter remnants. "Maybe we can try to understand each other, start fresh. I don't want to be just a name, Emily." The silence that wrapped around them felt both comforting and tumultuous. Her gaze fell, and Jake could almost hear the thoughts wrestling in her mind. "But what will that mean? For both of us?" He stepped closer, feeling the pulse of possibility between them. "Maybe it means we fight together. Show Maplewood there's more to us than the labels." The idea hung in the air, heavy and electric. Emily looked up, her eyes meeting his, deep pools of vulnerability reflecting his own struggle. He could see the flicker of hope, maybe even a spark of determination. Yet, just as they inched closer to something transformative, the shrill of a phone shattered the moment. Jake pulled away, the spell broken. He fished his phone from his pocket, his heart sinking as he read the message that it was from his father, urgent and unsettling. He felt the ground shift beneath him. "Jake? Is everything all right?" Emily asked, her voice laced with concern. "But it feels like it's all just started," he muttered, staring at the screen. Was it one step forward only to take three backward? The stage was set, the past and future clashing like titans. Could they really forge a new path amid the chaos? As he prepared to respond, a question loomed in the air, stifling and alive. What would he find waiting for him once he unveiled the truth from his own family? Jake's heart raced as he read the words on the screen again. His father's urgent demand felt like a punch to the gut. The promise of a new beginning, standing so close with Emily, quickly faded into the shadows of old fears and responsibilities. "Jake, talk to me. What does it say?" Emily stepped closer, her brow creased with worry. Taking a deep breath, Jake broke the tension with a choked whisper. "It's from my dad. He needs me now." Emily's expression shifted from concern to something deeper. "Right now? When we were just beginning to..." He shook his head, cutting her off gently. "I know. I didn't want this. But it sounds serious." The air hung thick between them, heavy with unresolved emotions. He could see the disappointment flicker in her eyes. The connection they had shared felt precarious, like a teetering house of cards waiting to collapse. He turned back to his phone, the screen glowing with a text that seemed to loom larger than life. "Jake?" Emily's voice pulled him from his thoughts. "You don't have to go if you don't want to." But the weight of his family name, the legacy that wrapped around him like chains, surged against his resolve. "If it's serious, I have to. You know how he is, nothing is ever really fine." The flicker of hurt crossed her face, but he could see her trying to hold on to her strength. "Then you need to go, Jake. Just promise me you'll be honest with yourself. Don't forget what we were talking about." He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. "And you too. Don't lose sight of what you want. We'll figure this out together." As he stepped out into the crisp air, he felt the chill prick at his resolve, leaving the warmth of her presence behind. Maplewood felt different now, almost stifling. He could feel its familiar gaze, like 1,000 eyes watching his every move, waiting for him to stumble. The drive back to his father's estate went by in a blur. Memories flashed through his mind: the opulence, the grand hallways, the lingering echoes of a life built on expectations. He parked in front, the towering exterior of the house looming like a fortress. The walls had seen too many secrets. As he stepped inside, the scent of polished wood and stale history hit him hard. His father was sitting in the great room, a figure of authority diminished by age but still imposing. The lines around his mouth tightened at Jake's arrival. "Jake, I'm glad you got my message," he began, his voice clipped. "We need to talk about the will." Jake took a seat, anxiety clawing at his insides. What has changed? His father leaned forward, eyes piercing. "There's something you need to know, something that could change everything, and it's about your mother." 1,000 questions surged forward. But Jake could only manage a shaky "What do you mean?" "Not just what you think, son. She had a past, a secret that could unravel everything you thought you understood." Jake's heart raced again, a mixture of fear and anger boiling beneath the surface. He thought of Emily, the promise of understanding and connection that seemed so close just hours before, and now it was slipping away like sand through his fingers. What kind of secret? He demanded, trying to contain his rising fear. The silence stretched between them, thick and palpable. A daughter, a lost daughter. His father's words hung in the air, electrifying and suffocating. Jake stared at him, the shocking truth coursing through his veins. As he processed the revelation, a chill ran down his spine. What did this mean for him? For Emily? And just as he thought the world couldn't shift under him any further, a flood of thoughts rushed through his mind. What had he stumbled into, and how would it redefine everything he believed about family, love, and his future? With each beat of his heart, the questions hung like clouds, waiting for light to break through. He could feel the weight of the truth bearing down. What if the lost daughter held the key to everything he had ever wanted? Jake's mind raced as he processed his father's words. A lost daughter? The idea was so foreign, so surreal, that it felt like a riddle without answers. He searched his father's face for clarity, but all he found was a grimace that deepened the fracture between them. "Are you sure?" Jake's voice trembled slightly, as if he were testing the reality of the situation. "How do you even know this?" His father took a deep breath, his expression shifting, regret mingling with frustration. "Your mother, she never wanted to talk about it. But as I was going through some old papers after she passed, I found something." He paused, his gaze piercing Jake's soul. "A letter. It mentioned a daughter she gave up." The words hung suspended in the air, thick and suffocating. Jake felt his chest tighten, anger flaring inside him. All the years that he spent resenting his mother for leaving, for running away, suddenly twisted into something far more complex. "You didn't tell me this before," Jake said, a rising tide of hurt spilling over. "Why now?" Because his father hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because it matters. If she had a daughter, it could affect everything: the estate, our family. You could have a sister you never knew about." Jake shook his head in disbelief. A sister? Was this a sick joke? The mere thought of it sent a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside. "What do you want me to do? Just accept that she exists and move on?" "Not just that." His father snapped, the tension boiling over. "I want you to understand the stakes. You have to consider what this means for all of us." Jake clenched his fists, the weight of his father's expectations colliding with his own confusion. He didn't want to be the one to deal with this. He wanted to be free to explore his own life, his own love with Emily, not drown in the chaos of hidden family secrets. "I need to think," he said hoarsely, stumbling backward as if the walls were closing in around him. "Jake, wait." But he was already out the door, leaning against his car, trying to breathe. The cool air whipped against his skin and the quiet of the night felt torturous. His mind spun and he closed his eyes, imagining Emily's face. What would she think of this? The thought of telling her sent another wave of panic crashing over him. Would she see him differently? Would this change everything between them? Something that was just starting to blossom. As he opened his eyes, he caught a glimpse of the moonlight reflecting down, illuminating his surroundings. The world felt distanced, yet he couldn't shake the feeling of impending dread. Taking out his phone, he hesitated before typing a message to Emily. "Can we meet? I need to talk." The seconds felt like hours as he waited, each moment filled with uncertainty. But before he could lose himself in the worry, his phone buzzed. Her name flashed across the screen, a little light in the heavy darkness surrounding him. Yet the reality of his situation was still looming large. Of course, she replied. Is everything okay? Was everything okay? The answer eluded him. No, but I'll explain. He took a step back toward the house, the shadows creeping into his mind. What if this secret brought together siblings that should have never existed? What if it unraveled the very life he knew? The answers were tangled and he felt more lost than ever. How could he navigate this new family dynamic while still yearning for the uncomplicated love he found with Emily? He stood in the shifting light, caught between past and future, and realized the truth he had yet to uncover may change everything he had ever known. As he turned back toward the house, a single thought screamed in his head. Was he ready to face whatever awaited him inside? Jake climbed the steps to the house, each one heavy with dread. The door loomed before him, a threshold to a world that felt suddenly foreign. He was about to confront a reality that carried the weight of unknown siblings and stories yet untold. Swallowing hard, he pushed the door open, bracing himself for whatever awaited him inside. His father was still in the living room, staring at the fireplace, which now flickered with a ferocity that mirrored Jake's internal turmoil. The moment their eyes met, Jake could see the turmoil mirrored in his father's expression, confusion mixed with anger. The old man knew this was a conversation they couldn't avoid anymore. Jake, his father began, but Jake cut him off. Don't. Just don't. The words tumbled out, raw and unfiltered. You want to talk about the stakes, right? What if I don't want any part of this? What if I don't want a sister? His father's eyes widened, the complicating factors tumbling through his mind. All those years of silence suddenly felt insufferable. And now here they were, stuck between dreams and realities neither wanted to face. You can't ignore it. You have the right to know. Maybe I don't want to know. This time Jake's voice echoed through the room, louder and more forceful. The walls hung heavy with their harsh words, a cocoon of pent-up frustration and confusion. What if finding her just opens a Pandora's box we can't close? The silence thickened, each man grappling with words that refused to surface. Jake's heart raced as he thought about Emily waiting for him. She was a beacon of warmth in a sea of uncertainty. He rubbed his palms together, feeling the sweat starting to collect. What would it mean for them if he had to share this secret? His father broke the silence, his voice subdued. We're family, Jake. We face things together, but you have to make a choice. The truth hit harder than expected. Jake had always been told to embrace family. They had grieved and celebrated together. But this was different. What if unraveling this family secret meant unraveling his very identity? I need time, Jake said finally, his voice softer now, tinged with vulnerability. I can't just dive into this without understanding. Then take time. His father's features softened, and for a moment, they were not just a grieving son and father, but two people facing an unknown future. But don't wait too long. If this sister exists, she deserves the chance to be part of your life. The weight of those words hung in the air. Jake sat on the edge of the couch, feeling lost yet tethered to something monumental. He wished for clarity, yet all he felt was the fog of uncertainty surrounding him. Can we just not think about it for a while? Jake ventured hesitantly, drawing in a shaky breath. Sure, his father replied slowly, as if the idea was foreign. But I'll be here when you're ready. Jake nodded, but inside his thoughts churned like a storm. He wanted to escape this heavy moment, to call Emily and share a smile, not the chaos brewing in his mind. With each tick of the clock he felt like time was slipping away. The enormity of responsibility crashed over him again, and he wondered if he could truly hold both a past he barely understood and a future he didn't choose. He stood abruptly, needing to break free from this confining space. I'm going to see Emily, he said, urgency in his voice. Jake, wait. But he was already out the door again, the world outside feeling like a stark contrast to the gloom inside. The night wrapped around him like a soft blanket, cool but comforting. As he drove to Emily's house, the thought pulled at his mind like a thread unspooling. What was he going to say? He couldn't let the weight of his family's past taint the future he envisioned with her. But as he neared her place, a gut-wrenching thought struck him. What if the truth was already changing him? What if he wasn't the same person she fell for? And as he pulled into her driveway, a wave of doubt crashed over him. What if this was the last night of simplicity he could claim before everything changed? His phone buzzed in his pocket, and he hesitated to look, fearing what it might bring. Would it be a text from Emily or some fresh reminder of a sister he had yet to meet? With a racing heart, he drew a deep breath, grounding himself for whatever conversation lay ahead. Was he ready to expose not just his heart, but the tangled family ties that threatened to ensnare him? As he grabbed the door handle, a single question lingered in his mind: would their love withstand the truth? Or would it be the end of everything he cherished? Jake stepped out of the car with his heart pounding in his chest. The porch light flickered above him, a lonely halo in the dark. He took a moment to steady himself, feeling the chill of the evening breeze wrap around his shoulders. With one last deep breath, he approached the door and raised his hand to knock. Before he even touched the wood, the door swung open, revealing Emily with a warm smile that cut through his spiraling thoughts. Her hair fell around her shoulders in soft waves, and her eyes sparkled with a welcoming light. For a fleeting second he forgot everything: the sister he might have, the past he was reluctant to explore, and the future that seemed so unclear. "Jake!" she exclaimed, pulling him into a tight embrace. He melted into her warmth, but as she pulled back to look at him, the smile faded just a little. "You okay? You look different." He chuckled half-heartedly, trying to mask the heaviness inside. "Yeah, just long day." She stepped back, gesturing for him to enter. "Come on in. I was just about to make some hot cocoa. It'll help warm you up." The invitation felt like a lifeline, and he stepped inside, letting the comforting sense of cinnamon and chocolate envelop him as he crossed the threshold into her world. Homey, inviting, and full of laughter, everything he needed right now. As Emily busied herself in the kitchen, Jake glanced around the living room. Pictures captured happy moments, frames lined with memories of their time together. He felt a pang of guilt as he realized he was about to shake this foundation with his unshakable doubts. "Want some marshmallows?" Emily called out, breaking his train of thought. "Yeah, of course," he replied, though his mind was elsewhere, wrestling with the chaos roiling inside. When she returned, steaming mugs of cocoa in hand, Jake couldn't help but admire how natural she looked in her element. "So what has been bothering you? You can talk to me, you know that, right?" He hesitated, the words tangling in his throat. Could he really open up about a sister he didn't know how to process? Could he explain the swell of conflicting emotions threatening to drown him? Looking into Emily's careworn eyes, he knew he had to try. "Actually, there is something heavy I need to share," he started, the words sticking like glue. "It's about my family. About a sister." Emily's brow furrowed, her hand pausing mid-sip. "A sister? I didn't know you had one." "Neither did I," Jake admitted. "At least not until recently. And now I'm caught between wanting to learn more and, I don't know, feeling afraid." Her expression softened and she reached for his hand, guiding him to sit beside her on the couch. "Jake, you don't have to go through this alone. Whatever it is you're feeling, I'm here to support you." Her kindness broke through the tension encasing him. He felt an ache in his chest, a mix of relief and dread as he laid the pieces of his life shattered and bruised before her. "I don't even know if I want to know her," he confessed, eyes searching hers for understanding. "What if she changes everything? What if I'm not the same person when it's all over?" Emily's gaze bore into him. "You're still you, Jake. No one can take that away, not even a family member you didn't know existed. And if anything, you might find you grow in ways you never expected." Her words hung between them, each syllable stirring a blend of hope and fear inside him. What if she was right? What if facing this truth opened doors he never thought possible? "Do you really think it could be a good thing?" he asked, skepticism weaving through his voice. "It's possible," she replied softly, squeezing his hand tighter as if anchoring him closer to the ground. "But that's a journey you have to take. Just remember, no matter what happens next, I'll be by your side." Jake melted at her words as they wrapped around him like a promise. But a small voice in the back of his mind whispered doubts, questions that lingered like shadows. How would Emily react once he finally met his sister? And what if confronting this truth pulled them further apart? Feeling the weight of uncertainty, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The room faded around him as he gazed into Emily's eyes, a whirlwind of emotions swirling in his heart. He pulled back slightly, holding her gaze with a determined resolve. "I need to understand who she is. And maybe that means unraveling parts of myself I've kept hidden. Before he could finish, his phone buzzed on the coffee table, drawing both their attention. Jake's heart skipped. What if it was his father? Or worse, news about the sister he was unprepared to face? Suddenly, the door to clarity felt ajar. Yet he stood frozen at the threshold. Would he embrace it or slip back into the safety of the past? With trepidation, he reached for his phone, preparing for whatever bombshell could await him on the screen. Jake picked up his phone, the screen illuminating his anxious face. He quickly glanced at the name flashing on the screen. It wasn't his father. It was an unknown number, and his gut twisted with apprehension. Who is it? Emily asked, concern lacing her voice. Unsaved contact, he replied, feeling the weight grow heavier with every passing second. He took a deep breath and answered, bracing himself for whatever news awaited him. Jake? The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, yet it carried a strange familiarity. It was soft but direct, leaving no room for small talk. This is Sarah, your sister. Time froze and his heart raced against the confines of his chest. What? He managed to choke out. I know this must be a shock, she continued, her voice steady. But I need to talk to you face to face. It's important. His throat went dry, and he shot a glance at Emily, whose eyes were wide with surprise. Panic surged through him. Can't we just know, Jake? Her voice was firm but gentle. There are things you need to hear from me. It's about our father and why I've been hidden all these years. The word struck like a lightning bolt, igniting a whirlwind of emotions. Questions swirled in his mind. Hidden? Why had he never known? What could a will possibly unravel? Where? He asked, urgency gripping his throat. A small cafe on Maple Street tomorrow at 4, she replied, each word seemingly weighted with urgency. Please come. I promise I won't make this harder than it has to be. The call ended before he could respond, leaving a hollow ache in his chest. He stared at the phone, processing the revelation. His sister. His real sister. Could she actually exist? What did she say? Emily prodded gently, concern etched on her face. Jake could hardly find the words. She wants to meet tomorrow. She says it's about our dad. Emily's face paled, and for the first time her voice quivered. Jake, are you sure you want to do this? What if it opens old wounds you're not ready to face? I don't know, he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. But I need answers and I have to know why my life feels like a puzzle missing a piece. Okay then, Emily said softly, determination creeping back into her tone. Just promise me you won't go into this blind. You've got to be careful. People aren't always what they seem. He nodded, holding her gaze. The comfort of her presence surrounded him, but uncertainty gnawed at his reservations. How could he prepare for a meeting that could change everything? The mug of cocoa in his hands had grown cold, much like the unease settling in the pit of his stomach. Each word spun in his mind like a roller coaster of hope and fear, and he couldn't ignore the rising tide of emotions within him. What if she's not who I think she is? He muttered, almost to himself. What if she's not like you, Emily? Then you'll have to figure that out together, she replied, her voice steady. But Jake, you deserve to know the truth, no matter how hard it is. The heaviness of the evening enveloped them, and Jake felt the world closing in, mounting pressure as he stared into the abyss of uncertainty. Emily's presence was grounding, and he clung to her support as he wrestled with the choice hanging over him. Tomorrow at 4, he murmured, the weight of time pressing down on him. Suddenly it felt as if the hours were crawling by, each minute stretching into an eternity. With Emily's support and the prospect of truth ahead, Jake knew he had to make a decision. But beneath it all, a deeper question loomed. What if finding Sarah unraveled not just his past, but the very fabric of his present? As the clock ticked closer to tomorrow, he wondered if he was truly ready for the storm that awaited him. The anticipation hung heavy in the air as Jake stared at the clock, its ticking echoing like a countdown to some inevitable explosion. Each minute that passed felt like a lifetime, a torturous stretch of time filled with what-ifs that clawed at his mind. Emily sat nearby, her fingers tapping nervously on the table, mirroring his own anxiety. At the last moment, she cleared her throat. Hey, let us take a walk. Clear our heads a bit? Yeah, maybe. The suggestion felt good, a chance to breathe. They stepped outside, the cool evening air wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The sun was slipping below the horizon, casting golden light across the neighborhood. But it did little to ease the storm within him. As they walked, silence settled between them. Jake's thoughts raced back to Sarah and the way her voice had resonated like a ghost from a life he never knew about. The feelings of betrayal and confusion gnawed at him. What kind of sister kept herself hidden for so long? "Jake, can I ask you something?" Emily broke the calm, her voice gentle. "Sure." He glanced at her, a hint of vulnerability flashing across his expression. "Do you think meeting her will change how you feel about your dad?" That was a question he hadn't fully considered. "I honestly don't know. Part of me feels like I'll finally get some answers, but another part is scared that the truth might hurt worse than I expect." Emily nodded, her brow furrowing. "Sometimes the unknown feels safer, even if it's painful. But you deserve closure. You deserve to understand." Closure. The word resonated deep within him, stirring a longing for resolution. Yet, what if closure brought him face to face with painful truths? "Do you think she's my biological sister? Or just someone using me?" Jake asked, the question tumbling out more desperately than he intended. "I think." Emily paused, choosing her words carefully. "I think she believes she's your sister. Whether or not you can trust her, that's something you'll need to figure out together. Just be on guard, Jake." Her caution hung in the air, but so did an undeniable curiosity, a deep pull towards the possibility of family, of connection. The cafe on Maple Street popped into his mind, as rich with potential as it was with dread. As they continued to walk, the sun descended further, the darkness of night creeping in, mirroring the uncertainty swarming inside him. What if Sarah carried not just answers, but also questions he hadn't yet dared to ask? As doubt planted seeds of fear in his chest, he stopped walking. The world around them dimmed, voices from a nearby park fading into the background. "Do you think she'll actually want to know me?" Jake's question felt vulnerable as it escaped his lips. "I think she's needed you for a long time, Jake." Her words settled like a waystone in his heart. With each tick of the clock reminding him of the impending meeting, he could feel the layers of possibility peeling back, exposing both hope and fear. Lost in thought, a sidewalk artist's chalk drawings caught his attention. Vibrant colors splashed across the gray pavement. Each intricate design told a story. Jake felt an echo of his own story among the lines and swirls, a yearning for clarity swelling within him. "So what do you think she'll tell you tomorrow?" Emily prompted gently, nudging him back to the moment. "I hope she tells me why she's been away." Jake hesitated before adding, "And what our dad really wanted for us." They continued walking, the faint glow of streetlights illuminating their path. The distance to the cafe felt shorter, each step heavy with his own uncharted history. What secrets did years of silence bury? A sudden thought struck him. What if meeting her leads me to questions about our dad I never wanted to confront? What if before he could finish, Emily interrupted, her voice firm. "You can handle it. You're stronger than you think." But was he? The weight of that question loomed larger as they neared the cafe, its cozy glow beckoning them from the shadows. Jake stopped for a moment to collect himself, battling the storm brewing inside him. "Tomorrow could change everything," he whispered, almost too quietly as they stood at the edge of the cafe's entrance. A rush of uncertainty poured through him. Could he truly step into a reality that had been shrouded in mystery for so long? And as they pushed through the door, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were on the brink of a tumultuous revelation. The cafe interior buzzed with the hum of conversation, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee intertwining with the lingering notes of baked goods. Jake stepped inside, Emily trailing slightly behind him. The warmth enveloped him, a stark contrast to the chill lingering on his skin. But even this inviting atmosphere couldn't dispel the whirlwind churning in his chest. "Let us grab a table," Emily suggested, her voice cutting through his fog of thoughts. They settled in a corner, the soft glow of a nearby lamp casting a gentle light on their faces. Jake's eyes roamed the room, searching for anything that could anchor him before the storm. "What do you want to order?" Emily's question pulled him out of his thoughts. "Just a coffee, I guess," Jake replied, his mind not fully in the moment. He watched as she stood to go to the counter, her movements confident, but he could see a flicker of worry in her eyes. Alone for a moment, Jake leaned back, his gaze falling upon a couple at the next table. They were laughing quietly, their hands brushing against each other. A flash of jealousy passed through him. How easy it seemed for some to connect, to find comfort in love and familiarity. But then a darker thought crept in. What if Sarah didn't want to connect with him like that? What if their reunion was just a means to an end for her? A way to fulfill a twisted narrative rather than genuine kinship. Here you go. Emily returned, setting a steaming cup in front of him. The steam curled up, shimmering in the light. It'll calm your nerves. Thanks. He wrapped his fingers around the warm mug, letting the heat seep into him. But calm was elusive. The clock above the counter ticked away, reminding him of the time. It wouldn't be long now before Sarah would walk through that door. And with her, a flood of answers, pain and possible heartache. What are you thinking about? Emily asked softly, sensing the tension radiating from him. Just how surreal this all feels, Jake admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. One minute I'm just me, and the next I'm about to meet a sister I never knew existed. It's just a lot. It is a lot, Emily agreed, her eyes earnest. But remember, finding her might be just the beginning of something good. You've always wanted to know about your family, right? This could be your chance. He nodded, even if uncertainty still gnawed at his gut. Would he even recognize that this was good? Could he separate Sarah from the shadow of their father's legacy? The layers of his internal struggle were like the intricate chalk designs on the sidewalk, beautiful yet complex, begging to be understood. Then it happened. The bell above the door jingled gently. Time seemed to slow as he turned. There stood a woman, her figure hesitating for just a split second before stepping further inside. A wave of shock washed over him as he recognized her. Sarah. The woman who had haunted his thoughts for days was now real and standing just a few feet away. His heart raced, a mix of thrill and dread colliding within him. She looked around, her eyes scanning the room before they settled on him. Jake? She called, her voice both uncertain and hopeful. Every part of him was locked in place as he met her gaze, feeling time stand still around them. Hey, he managed to reply, though it didn't sound like his voice at all. It sounded like a stranger's. Before he could gather his thoughts, Sarah approached, a tentative smile dancing on her lips. I'm so glad to finally meet you. And just like that, the moment he had been both yearning and dreading for was here. What would they say next? As they stood frozen in a world of their own making, Jake couldn't shake the thought. This encounter might unravel everything he believed about himself, or it might build something new. Just then Emily squeezed his hand, grounding him. You've got this, she whispered. With a deep breath he took a step forward, prepared to dive into the unknown. But what awaited him on the other side of that leap? The heart-wrenching truth was only a conversation away. The cafe buzzed with chatter, but all Jake could hear was the pounding of his heart. Sarah was here standing in front of him, alive and real. He fought to mask the storm of emotions churning inside him. So glad to finally meet you. Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket, but there was an undeniable edge of tension in the air. He felt Emily's hand squeeze his, grounding him as he took a few hesitant steps closer. Yeah, you too, he managed to say, the words escaping in a nervous rush. He studied her, the slight resemblance to their father undeniable. Yet Sarah held a uniqueness that was striking. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of hope and uncertainty, like two distant stars finally colliding. I know this is a lot, Sarah began, and Jake could see the effort it took for her to keep her voice steady. But I promise there's so much we need to talk about. Jake cleared his throat, feeling the weight of her gaze. Like why you've been hidden? The question tore at him, raw and urgent. He couldn't keep pretending that this moment wasn't layered with shadows of betrayal and curiosity. Sarah's expression softened, and Jake could see the pain etched into her features. I was taken away. Not by choice. Her words padded through the silence, filled with unraveling stories of heartbreak. Mom made choices that left both of us with her secrets. Jake absorbed her confession, feeling the threads of his family history weaving into something darker. But why not tell me? Why wait until now? The frustration bubbled within him, both wanting answers and feeling the weight of her truth. I didn't know about you until recently, Sarah replied, her voice quiet. Once I did, I thought about reaching out, but I was scared. Scared of what meeting you might mean for both of us. Watching her vulnerability stirred something inside him, a mix of empathy, anger, and a flicker of understanding. And why should I trust you? If everything you say is true, how do I know you won't hurt the people I care about? Each word felt like a step further into a battlefield instead of the reunion he secretly wished for. Trust is hard, especially when you don't know the person, Sarah said, her tone unwavering. But I'm not here to hurt you. I want to be a part of your life, to understand our family's history, but it'll take time. I've spent my life searching for connection. I want you to know who I am. Their gazes locked, and he felt the gravity of her need echo in his soul. Part of him wanted to pull back, protecting the bonds he held dear with Emily, but another part ached for connection, longing for understanding. Can we? Jake finally let out, the question like a soft whisper among the clatter of cups and laughter around them. Can we start over? Be in each other's lives? Or is this just a temporary solution to fill a void? A glimmer of hope flickered in Sarah's eyes, the weight of her past slowly giving way to the promise of a shared future. Can be anything you want, Jake. I'm here now. Together we can navigate this. Jake turned toward Emily, who watched intently from her seat. Her encouraging smile gave him the courage to take the leap. This is big, he murmured, reigniting his thoughts as he faced both of them, the old and the new, the now and the then. It might shake things for everyone involved, that's okay. Emily interrupted softly, stepping forward. We all have to take risks to grow. Change can be uncomfortable, but it can also lead to the most beautiful transformations. Jake's heart swelled at her words. He reached out and gently touched Sarah's arm. Then let us find a way to be family. Whatever that looks like. In that moment, a surreal connection began weaving between them, fragile yet electric. They were all jigsaw pieces bent on finding belonging in the chaos. As they situated themselves at the table, time became irrelevant, and the discussion unfolded. Wounds opened together, laughter blooming shyly between shared stories, and a slow understanding that poured warmth over their previously cold reality. And outside the cafe, the early morning sun began to rise, painting their shadows in soft hues of hope, a signal that maybe, just maybe, they were stepping into a future they could shape together. Jake looked at both women, a full heart swelling with possibilities. He felt the weight of their pasts, but more importantly, he felt the pulse of their joined destinies. In that space he realized, family wasn't always defined by blood. Sometimes it was built through open hearts willing to embrace truth, even when it trembled with fear. And no more secrets. No more running. This was the beginning of understanding, of connection, of a family redefined. And as the cafe buzzed around him, filled with the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of hope, Jake felt ready to embrace this new adventure. So if you're ready to embark on more thrilling stories just like this one, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the next exclusive revelations we have coming up. This is the moment to show your support, so hit that like button right now to feed the algorithm and spread the love. Comment below with your thoughts about Jake's journey, and what you would do facing such unexpected twists. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans will understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this community alive and thriving.